Cruiser Tech engage!
Hey YouTube, it's a Saturday and I've got some new components. I'm going to upgrade my computer. I've been using the same motherboard and processor for probably 4 years, maybe a little more than 4 years now. And I recently sold one of my laptops and I'm going to get rid of some other stuff. But basically I had some gift cards for my birthday and just figured I'd go ahead and overhaul the machine. So I've got the AMD Ryzen Threadripper. This is the 1920X. This is the 12-core, 24-thread model. There is a 16-core model. I think it's the 1950X, but that was a couple $100 more, and I didn't want to spend that much. And this doubles up the number of cores that I had, so no complaints. And then we have this is from Gigabyte, but this is like their gaming series, the AORUS x399 chipset, Gaming 7 edition motherboard, socket TR4, which has all kinds of RGB lighting options and good things of that nature built into it. But what we're going to be doing today is, like I say, swapping out my existing. I have an i7 5930K. That's a 6-core 12-thread with 40 PCI Express lanes. This is again 12 cores, 24 threads with 64 PCI Express lanes, which I don't really need more than the 40. But I opted to go with AMD this time because Intel has decided to charge so much money to keep above 40 lanes. You have to get a $1,000 processor from them. Like the 7900X is their cheapest CPU with 40 plus lanes. And I run dual GPUs. I'm going to be running a couple NVMe drives. Like I have a Samsung 960 EVO and a 950 Pro, and those both use 4 PCI Express lanes. And then both my GPUs, my dual 1080 Ti's, will use 16 lanes apiece, unless I want to run them at 8x, which doesn't affect the performance much. But I don't like to dial back. I just like to have everything run with full bandwidth. So this CPU will have more than enough lanes to handle that. But like I say, we're moving from the 5930K and the x99 chipset. I had an EVGA x99 classified edition motherboard still on my machine right now. You can see still everything hooked up. I'm going to be taking the whole machine apart and cleaning a lot of it because it needs it. You can see the glass, well, the whatever tempered glass or plastic, whatever that is. I think it's just plastic, but it's pretty fingerprinted up and kind of been sitting around and dirty for a while. I haven't really cleaned this machine much other than to just kind of generally spray it out with I use like compressed air to dust it, but that doesn't really solve the problem. So I've backed everything up. My RAID array has been backed up onto my external 3TB Western Digital MyBook drive, and everything should be ready to go. I've backed up any files that I fear losing in case I have to reinstall my OS, which I probably should anyway. So it'll be a while before I get this torn down, but what I'll do is I'll stop the video here and I'll pick it up here in a second. That'll be a seamless transition for those of you watching, and once I have it, like I say, torn apart, I'll kind of pick up the video there and kind of show you all the components and show you what comes in these particular boxes, and we'll continue at that point. Stand by, I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got pretty much everything torn down. I haven't opened up the new stuff yet, but you can see I've got my Samsung 850 Pro SSD right there, and then there's my 950 Pro NVMe drive. I've got my 960 EVO sitting here. I haven't really actually used that yet. I just bought it the other day at Best Buy for like 125 bucks, so it seemed like a thing to do. Got a 480 gig PNY SSD, that's just extra storage. My pair of SanDisk Ultra 2 1 terabyte SSDs that I run in my RAID 0 array. Those you can put a lot of games on there. Underneath that I got my Western Digital 3 terabyte drive for a large amount of storage. This is the old board, the x99 classified edition from EVGA. I still got my 5930K sitting in there, as you can see. I got my Ryzen on my new board down here. There's my sound card. That's a Creative Labs Sound Blaster. I think it's ZX is the model. They're pretty freaking good sounding. Audio from that. We've got our high bandwidth SLI bridge. There's my dual water cooled 1080 Ti's. You can see they're very dusty, even though I cleaned them not that long ago. But those radiators, you can kind of see on there, get a lot of dust build up pretty quickly. There's my I don't know, the lighting in here isn't super good, but you can see basically that's my Corsair H100. What the hell is it? H100i water cooler, and some fans and my SATA cables and so forth, and all the screws that I pulled out are sitting in that little tray down there. Like I said, the lighting in here isn't perfect right now, but basically next step, get over here. Like I say, the computer's pretty well pulled apart. Wiring's kind of just hanging out right now, but I'm going to take it outside and dust it out with a compressed air can because it's pretty dirty in there. And once I get that done, I will get out the new components and I will attempt to go ahead and start putting this thing back together. I'll probably just do a couple components at a time. Just do the board and the processor, one video card, the OS drive, make sure it's working correctly, and then start putting everything else back in. But that'll be what I do next, so stay tuned. So I got the CPU out of the container it came in. You can see it's pretty freaking big, kind of cool looking, monstrously large chip. And you can't really see anything, but you dial the back off the case and you open it up, and this is what's inside. Comes with this little torque driver and the bracket to convert it, so you can convert a lot of different types of all-in-one coolers to the TR4 socket, which this needs. So that's about all that came in that container. Next, I'm going to open up the motherboard box here in just a second. One moment. Just wanted to pick it up here real quick. You can see I've swapped out. That's the bracket that was on there for the Intel x399 chipset, and then I swapped in the one that came with the Threadripper for the TR4 socket bracket. So there's like two closer together connections on the top, and then a wider stance of screws on the bottom. So just bear that in mind if you do this. You gotta, like I say, you gotta take that off. It takes a little bit of reefing on it to get it off there too. It was kind of difficult to remove the bracket, but once you get it off there, the other one goes back on pretty easily. Anyways, be right back with the motherboard. So we've got the box opened up here from the motherboard, and this is the basic layout. You can see I've laid my NVMe drives on here. They've got spaces with little armor shields over each of them that block the socket out, but to cover it up so like your video card's not throwing heat right against it. But yeah, like I said, there's one there, you got another one down here, and you got a smaller one down on this end of the board. But there's, like I say, multiple M.2 sockets. That way you got your multiple PCI Express slots for video cards. This thing will supposedly support 4-way Crossfire or SLI, although physically I don't think you'd be able to get that many video cards in there without them having smaller coolers, which most cards these days have very large cooling solutions, and even then they'd be resting right on top of each other and getting pretty hot. You can put one on the top, one there, one there, one there, I guess. So yeah, you might be able to get all four in there, I guess. But like I said, they'd be really sitting on top of each other. I believe this thing supports probably 128 gigs of RAM. I should probably verify that before I made the damn video, but here I am just rambling away. It does come with a lot of nice little accessories. We've got Wi-Fi that'll built in, into the back of the motherboard back there. You can kind of see the prongs for it. So it has its own built-in Wi-Fi. You got the lovely little I/O shield with their logo on there, which is cool. The SATA cables that came with it, you can see here, are braided. They're very nice looking cables, high quality stuff. That's cool. They didn't cheap out. They did include a nice SLI bridge. This is only going to be for 2-way high bandwidth too. Maybe it is a high bandwidth bridge. That's kind of cool if it came with its own. I don't know if it functions as well as my EVGA one or not, but it is a nice, thick looking quality bridge. So we got that. One thing that's nice is it comes with a little case badge, metallic, nice looking quality case badge. The Threadripper comes with its own stickers for your case, so that's cool. It's got some cables here. I'm not sure what these are, and normally I would know this stuff pretty well, I would think, but I'm thinking these might be U.2 cables, which is a newer interface for a certain type of SSDs. Use that instead of M.2 or SATA, and that's what they look like. I don't know what else they'd be for. I'm trying to think of anything else that would connect to. I think the U.2 interfaces. I know I saw it when I was looking at. This is probably it over here. You can see this little metal portion there. That's probably what that is. It's hard to read it. Well, I might have to do an update to the video later or put a comment in the comment section myself, because I'm not 100% certain what those cables are for, but that's what that looks like. I don't know why it comes with two of them though, because it looks like there's only one socket on the board for that kind of input, so I don't know. Whatever, but it comes with two of those. It comes with a couple of these little like two-pronged cables. I'm not sure what these are for either, other than I would say that they look like they might be for audio or to hook up, like extension cables to hook up your all your little power switches and like your reset button and so forth for your case. Usually ends up needing a bunch of little connections like that. Maybe they're extension cables for that. That's kind of what they look like. And it comes with a couple of cable management Velcro strips, so you can kind of manage your cables nicely and get them hidden. That case that I've got is the Corsair 540 though, and it has a lot of space for that sort of stuff, so I've never really had too much trouble with cable management. But that's the contents of the box. It was a very nice quality box. Everything looks really professional. It has a manual in there, and it has like warranty information, the typical kind of stuff that tells you how to use the BIOS. If you don't understand those kinds of things, it'll have that information in there for it. I believe it's supposed to have up here, if you can see, it looks like it has a 4-pin and a 2-pin CPU power connection, which is actually kind of weird because this thing uses more power than the x399 chipset did. That used 140 watts, this used 180 watts for the CPU, and yet that had a pair of 8 pins, and this only has an 8 and a 4 pin. So I'm not sure why it has smaller or less power pins for the CPU when it technically needs more wattage, but there you go, who knows. Lots of fan prongs throughout to hook up your like down here we've got one, back on a little bit, sorry, but right by the RAM there you can see there's another one. So you figure water coolers, all in ones, use a bunch of fans and need their own power supplies themselves to run the water pump, so you need a lot of headers, and this looks like it supplies it pretty well. I have a fan controller of my own also that lets me add like another 6th fan in my case. It's one of the 3.5 drive bay fan controllers from NZXT, so I can hook up a bunch of extra fans, and I need it for this thing. I always have a lot of fans going to keep my video cards cool and keep my processor cool. I don't know if I can pull this thing out. I'm going to pause this 1 second while I pull this out. 1 second. Alright, here we are. I got it out of the box and just flip the box over, set it on there. So we've got the old serial mouse and keyboard port, but you still use that once in a while when you have a problem or you can't boot the machine up or it's not detecting your USB keyboard. You still need that, so that's our connection there. I believe those are USB 3.1 sockets. We've got some regular USB 3.0 sockets. I wonder if I don't know if any of those are eSATA anymore. They all look like USB to me, so I don't think they are. We got our NIC, which I believe is a gigabit killer NIC on this one, and then we got the Wi-Fi, of course. We've got a USB-C, and I should verify what that one is too, because some of these newer ones, like they keep changing the USB standard, and so I should probably verify what that is. But we've got our audio output. We've got a 5.1 audio with an optical built in, which is kind of nice. They don't usually have that built in anymore. So we've got that. Give me 1 second, I'll verify what some of those ports are. I should know this stuff off the top of my head, but like I say, some of these they keep changing the USB standard, so I don't always know 100%. 1 sec. Okay, well it says that these are all just USB 3.0s and just that they're different colors, except for the red ones are 3.1, and then you got your USB-C below that, which is the same physical appearance as a Thunderbolt 3 port, but probably has I think they have a little bit different internal wiring, and the Thunderbolt 3 has more bandwidth. As far as this went, that cable type I wasn't sure about earlier, apparently that is also for USB 3.1 or USB-C, but that's if your case has like a front port, USB-C port on it that you need to wire to run to your motherboard. I don't have that on my case, so I'd never seen that before. And then for your regular 3.0 USB is down right there. That's where you run your case connection to that. So that's the board, that's the layout, that's the ports. It's a pretty nice looking board. According to like the website on Amazon, it claimed that this is a standard ATX sized board, but I gotta say it's got to be extended, because my x399 board is extended and the size of these boards is identical. Like I did like a side-by-side comparison a second ago, and they are physically the same sized boards. So I don't know why it says that it's an ATX board on Amazon, but they must have a misprint. But that said, I'm going to stop here for a minute and start putting things together and try to get it fired up here within the next half an hour or so. Like I say, I got to put the chip in there, and I've never done this kind of chip before. I know it needs to be put in a specific way, and I don't want to damage it, so I'll take my time with that and read the instructions really good. And once that's set up, I'll probably put in, like I say, one video card. I'll probably put in both the NVMe drives, because once the video cards are installed, it's like I'm going to put a card here and I'm going to put a card here, which is going to cover up both those slots eventually, and then I won't have it, then I have to take the cards back out just to put in the drives, and I don't want to do that. So I'll probably put those in, and then like I said, the OS drive is my 850 Pro SSD, and I'll put that in just so it can boot and see where it's at and go from there. Hopefully there won't be a lot of troubleshooting involved. Hopefully it just works. I hope I don't spend the rest of the day beating my head into a wall or having to reinstall my OS 5 times or something weird just to get it to work right. But we'll see. I'll be back in a little bit, and once I've got it kind of, like I say, set back up a little bit. But thanks for watching, and I'll be back in a few. Alright, so we're picking back up here. You can see the system is up and running. I don't have everything back in there yet. I've only got one of my video cards in there, and I don't have 3 of my solid-state drives installed yet. I didn't hook up anything but the OS drive, the 3 terabyte drive for storage, and then I put the 2 NVMe drives in there, which you really aren't going to be able to see because they're behind their little armor slots. But suffice to say, everything is working. The CPU is properly detected by the OS. It has the correct number of threads, cores. RAM is properly detected, but I didn't install it apparently 100% correctly. I need to divvy it out differently. It's running in dual channel right now, and apparently there's a specific way you have to organize your chips to get it to run in quad channel, so I'll be screwing with that here in a minute. But at least that it's, like I say, it's working. So very cool. Temperatures, the CPU is idling or running like around 35 degrees, 36 degrees on the water cooler, so that's cool. And the video card still idles around 30 degrees, which is what it should be at. So like I said, not everything's back together yet. Still got some wires hanging out the back end of it, and I need to hook up those solid-state drives and reconfigure my RAID 0 array. But that's it for that. Let me show you here real quick. Pull up the screen. Hopefully we can get... You can see Threadripper 1920X, core speed 3.7 gigahertz, or yeah, that's right. 24 threads, 12 cores, and then oh, I thought I still had this window up. Here we go. Some idiots outside blaring their music. Sorry about this. Here we go. Isn't that pretty? Look at all those threads. Yeah. Alright, well I guess what I'm going to do at this point is I will get my video, go ahead and call it good for the video and finish putting the machine back together, and then I'm going to run some 3D Mark benchmarks and see how much of a difference the CPU makes in the score, and maybe run like I don't have Cinebench, but I could get that or some other tests and just see how well the machine does various tasks. But it seems pretty snappy. Everything loaded up very quickly as it usually does, and looks like nothing's having a problem. So with that said, appreciate people watching the video, and if you maybe like the video, click the like button, or maybe even subscribe to the channel if you feel like it. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for spending Saturday with me, and have a great one. Bye.